Today we will be talking about subcutaneous and deep fungal infections. So subcutaneous and deep fungal infections are a broad topic because it doesn't only involve dermatology, but it's a systemic disease involving various systems, including your systemic findings, pulmonary involvement, and the pathogenesis of disease is also complex. Their identification and causative organisms are also more numerous. So what we will do, we will take one class today, and we will take one class tomorrow or day after tomorrow regarding the other features, that is your other parts of the systemic fungal infections. So most importantly, we have to remember that systemic fungal infections are usually rare diagnosis, okay, and mostly seen in large setups where there is large ICU patients are admitted, or wherever there is some specific geographic distribution is there. Suppose field workers, where the population is mostly coming from agricultural workers, because they have more exposure of saprophytic fungi to their due to their day-to-day everyday work, like some farmer who is working. Hello, huh? Okay. So we will be discussing about the various types of deep fungal infections and subcutaneous fungal infections, and most importantly we have to remember that this kind of infections are usually recalcitrant, chronic in nature, and they rarely progress fast. But if the involvement is systemic, treatment is difficult and prolonged, and patient morbidity and comorbidities are much more in cases of systemic fungal infections rather than systemic bacterial infections. Now, most important thing about systemic fungal infections are mostly they are seen in ICU setups, where our patient is immunocompromised. Either patient is on strong antibiotics, patient is suffering from any immunosuppressive therapy, like in high dose steroids or steroid sparing immunosuppressants, cancer chemotherapy. Patient is on prolonged immunosuppressant due to organ transplant, or is a uncontrolled case of diabetes mellitus, or otherwise is a HIV positive, or patient is suffering from AIDS. So all this scenario, what happens, these opportunistic fungal infections, which are usually either cutaneous or subcutaneous, or are not involving the internal organs, can get easy access to the internal organs and cause systemic features. Now, subcutaneous mycosis can be divided into following types. First and most important and most commonly seen in mycetoma. In mycetoma is nothing but is a swelling of the feet, which is mostly caused by either eumycetes, that is true fungi, or ascomycetes, that is actinomycetes, that is fungi like filamentous bacteria, that is actinomyces. So actinomyces is really Velathri, and all the species are there, we will discuss. Then pheohypomycosis and chromoblastomycosis. So these are one of the other bacterial fungal infections caused by the name suggests. We will discuss so many organisms are there. And one of the very common fungal infection, cutaneous subcutaneous fungal infection, we will be seeing is sporotrichosis. So today what we will do, we will discuss more common ones, that is mycetoma and sporotrichosis, and rhinosporidiosis, which we will be seeing commonly in OPDs or day-to-day practices. About less common, like lobomycosis, pheomycosis, hyphomycosis, and chromoblastomycosis, we will discuss in tomorrow's class. So most important, first is mycetoma. So what is mycetoma? Is a chronic granulomatous disease, okay, of subcutaneous tissue. So it is basically what happens when fungus penetrates your skin. It produces a massive inflammatory response. See, more the organism is large, chances of inflammatory response will be more. Okay, like suppose some insect bite is there, if some thorn is get stuck in your skin, there will be large granuloma. But if some bacterial inoculation is there, immune response will be not as much, because fungus are much more complex. They have much more antigenic proteins and other antigenic elements which will produce a immune response. So mycetoma is basically chronic granulomatous progressively inflammatory disease. Okay, and it may be caused, as we have discussed, by other true fungi, that is Eumycetes, or by actinomycetes or fungi like bacteria, that is filamentous bacteria. So actinomycetoma. So one condition is known as Eumycetoma, other is actinomycetoma. Now here we can see a visual of how does a mycetoma looks like. So here you can see a large fungating cauliflower like hard woody dry looking growth present over the dorsum of the foot and involving the middle malleolus. So mycetoma, how does it is characterized? Characterized by three species. So the characteristic triad mycetoma will be tumefication, that is tumor like swelling. So we have seen there is a swelling. Second, multiple draining sinuses. There will be presence of multiple sinuses which are draining from the lesion. And sclerotia, that is hard granules, grains, hard woody like feeling will be there. Okay, so clinical features of tumefication, multiple draining sinuses and sclerotia. So what we see is somewhat dry looking hard tumor like growth with multiple draining sinuses. So and most commonly the site involved is feet and lower extremities. Sometimes hand and other parts will be involved whenever the patient is touching, but it is very rare. Now we go to types of mycetoma. So first is actinomycetoma. So actinomycetoma is caused by Actinomycera or Actinomycetes species. It is basically a filamentous bacteria. Okay, and it is acid fast filamentous bacteria which is causing a chronic granulomatous reaction of the leg. Second is the Madura mycetoma, that is Eumycetoma. Now Eumycetoma is caused by true fungi, okay, and which causes infection of the chronic granulomatous inflammation of the foot. Now fungal causes which can be differentiated by colony appearance, growth rate, pigmentation, microscopic color of granules and physiological reactions. So let us see in details. First is actinomycetoma and other is Eumycetoma. So these are the two differentiating features, how we differentiate between actinomycetoma. So actinomycetoma is caused by aerobic actinomycetes, okay, and the tumor mass will be multiple diffuse with ill-defined margins, okay, whereas in cases of Eumycetoma, so we will see this one, this lesion, okay, see, this is a clear-cut mass, okay, involving the foot. This is a case of Eumycetoma, whereas some diffuse swelling present over the foot, usually it is a case of actinomycetoma. Okay, now sinuses, there will be presence of multiple sinuses in both conditions, but in cases of actinomycetoma there will be early presence of sinuses, and sinuses are usually numerous in number. In cases of Eumycetoma, in the starting the lesions will be dry in looking, and sinuses which will be formed will be relatively less in number. So these are the two main differentiating features we can see. Other thing, opening of sinuses, how does the sinuses look like? So in case of actinomycetoma, it is basically a bacterial infection, so inflammation will be more, whereas in cases of Eumycetoma, due to fungal infection, due to less slow growing infection, there will be less amount of inflammation over the face of the sinuses. Now flap opening, if you want to open it is usually opened in case of the actinomycetoma due to the filamentous fungi and colonization and growth of the fungus. In cases of eumycetoma, flap opening is difficult. Now grains, how does it look like? All cases of actinomycetoma, grains will be white except pellethry, which is red, but to be general, grains will be white in color. But eumycetoma can be divided into two types, that is either black nigra or alba. Okay, eumycetoma alba, that is white. Here eumycetoma this one nigra, that will be black in color, and involvement will be more in cases of actinomycetoma and more localized in cases of eumycetoma. Now few things clinically we have to differentiate. Actinomycetoma is more of an acute bacterial infection, so there will be more pain, more redness, and lesions will be more inflamed. In cases of eumycetoma, sclerosis will be more. It will be having a hard lesions, and it may involve the bone also, giving rise to osteosclerotic or bone fungal infections. Okay, and many times eumycetoma may be usually present in the bone itself, whereas actinomycetoma will invariably involve your skin also. Okay, now causative agents of eumycetoma, that is true fungal infection. Most commonly Madurella mycetomatis. So we call it as a Madura food. Because why we call it as a Madura food? Mostly it was first the cases were observed in Madurai region of India. So that's why this was called Madura food. Second is Madurella gricia. Acrimonium aspergillus and Fusarium species, they also cause actinomycetes. And nowadays Pseudoaschalria, that is Scedosporium, is also causing eumycetoma, that is true mycetoma caused by a fungal infection. Whereas causes of actinomycetoma, which is causing actinomyces infection, is Actinomadura madure, most commonly seen. Then Actinomadura pellethri. So Actinomadura pellethri are smart lesions. So it is Actinomadura pellethri is has an exception that the grains are usually in red color. Other species of Streptomyces, we all know Streptomyces are also a group of the Nocardia and Streptomyces are correlated groups, that is filamentous bacteria and Nocardia species. So these species, Nocardia usually will be involving the chest parts. So here we can see Streptomyces and Nocardia. Here we can see we have this caused by Streptomyces somaliensis. Okay, and usually multiple draining sinuses will be present over the chest. Now causative agent of eumycetoma we have also discussed. Actinomycetoma we have discussed. Actinomadura madure, Actinomadura pellethri, somaliensis, Streptomyces somaliensis, and Nocardia species. Now eumycetoma is again divided into two parts, that is black grain and white grain, as we have discussed. Now black grain eumycetoma, why they are called black grain? Because the discharging sinuses contains melanin, so it gives a blackish appearance. So Madurella mycetoma most common is a black grain type of your mycetoma, and the size is this 0.5 to 5 mm, and present and homogeneous cement like matrix will be present beneath the lesion. Whereas in cases of Griciae, the this one size will be around 0.3 to 0.6, and this texture and temperature, all that things are usually will be more softer variation rather than Madurella mycetoma. And other species are Exophiala and Curvelaria. You just remember these two are black grain, Madurella mycetoma and Madurella gricia. Anyway, most of the Actinomycetoma are red in color, and only two you remember in black in color, Madurella species, that is Madurella mycetomatis and Madurella gricia. Apart from it, other are usually white in color like Pseudoaschalria, Aspergillus, Acremonium and Fusarium species. These are usually common in our skin. They cause mycetoma only when your immune system is down. So pseudoeschalria and body ill, they will usually cause soft type of white grain heumycetoma. Okay. So apart from this, antibacterial species like Fusarium are also there, which causes white grain heumycetoma. Okay. Now pathogenesis, how it is happening? Basically, it is due to neutrophilic response. See, any antigen which is going inside our skin has to encounter the Langerhans cells. Now once they have encountered the Langerhans cells, definitely there will be an immune cascade until and unless the patient is suffering from some chronic immunosuppressive disease like severe states of SIV. And the spread is usually not seen in case this kind of infections because of the restriction of the lesion, slow growing in nature and large size of the organism. The clinical features we have already discussed, that is tumor like growth, hard tumor like growth with multiple draining sinuses which may disseminate into muscles and bones, and most commonly seen in dorsum of the foot. Now we do lab diagnosis of mycetoma. Most importantly, first thing we have to see for granules, see for the lesion and see for the biopsy. Basically 3 things are there. Rest of the things will be revolving around this. Now first thing we have to see granules, what granules they are. So we can take permission of do KH mount for granules and we'll see the presence of hyphae. Okay, and we can also check presence of hyphae on histopathology examination. That is, we take biopsy, we send for histopathology, we can see any histopathological involvement is there or it is just a superficial condition. So that is KH mount examination of granules. Okay. Now FNAC can also be done, and FNAC of mycetoma will be more useful because it involves brain. So in after doing FNAC, the cytology will become clear what it is containing, only pus or only construction material or both. So this kind of things are there. So if only pus is coming out from the lesions, okay, so we go more in feature of actinomycetoma. But if from the lesions pus and dry granules are coming more, then we will go for heumycetoma. Okay. Now identification of the pathogens are very important. So identification of pathogen is for line of treatment. See, heumycetoma is caused by fungus, so antifungals we have to give. Whereas in cases of actinomycetoma, antibiotics are given. So there are two entirely different separate spectrum of disease mimicking as one. So individual diagnosis of the lesions are very important. Now the mycetoma causative organisms can be identified by their textural description, morphological and biological activities. Okay, and usually we have seen actinomycetes, they are basically acid fast organism. Apart from it, some biochemical properties like protease, presentation of sugars and nitrogen compounds are also there, and the grains which are coming out from the sinuses has to be cultured, has to be stained, has to be done for KOH mount to identify the original species. So treatment options we will discuss. First treatment option of actinomycetoma is antifungals, and for heumycetoma, antifungals which can be used are itraconazole 100 mg BD for 7 days, repeat after 1 month. Apart from it, ketoconazole is one of the drugs which can be used, that is 200 mg BD. For actinomycetoma, amikacin sulfate combination with cotrimoxazole is given in for treatment of actinomycetoma. Now there are some regimens are there which involves cotrimoxazole along with amikacin along with amoxicillin clavulanate. Some regimens they involve dapsone, they involve rifampicin. Some regimens they involve ofloxacin. So all these regimens are basically tailored to provide a prolonged antibacterial effect in the blood, so that antifungal effect, bacterial infectivity of the blood, so that the chronic inflammation comes down after inhibition of the growth of the bacteria. These all process are a long-term process, and patient has to come monthly to take pulse of the doses. Treatment, apart from it, surgical treatment are always the option. Excision, debulking of the lesions, okay, and apart from it, some kind of lasers we can use, ablative lasers, non-fractional ablative lasers we can use. Okay. Now next is sporotrichosis. Now sporotrichosis, how it is causing? Sporotrichosis is basically chronic inflammation again. So we all remember that all the fungal infections of the subcutaneous tissue are usually chronic inflammatory response to the fungal growth. But the important point of sporotrichosis is that it has got a lymphatic spread. So what happens when sporotrichosis lesions has got lymphatic spread? The lesions will be spreading to the other parts of the body, usually lungs. So it is frequently encountered in which patient, specific group, who's seen in gardeners, farmers, forest workers, and manual laborers, basically who are working in the field, who are working as a horticulture worker, who are working in a garden. So what happens usually that it is acquired through direct inoculation into skin and rarely by inhalation of the conidia. And what happens usually in the initial stages, there will be a small chancre, and from this chancre there will be lymphangitis. So I will show you some lesions, you will be able to see. Here we can see. So here we can see lymphocutaneous sporotrichosis. What has happened in the starting phases, the patient has some thorn bite, and after the thorn bite there is a primary chancre. Now this primary chancre doesn't respond to it resolve on giving antibiotics and other therapy. Okay, so after that biopsy was done and diagnosis was confirmed. Now here we can see, here one big lesion is there, and small lesions are over the other parts of the body. So how these lesions are going to this part is basically by lymphocytic spread. Okay, so how we discuss all these things is, first is thorn bite is the one of the most common cause of inoculation of the pathogen. Okay, now one thing is, remember, it is very rare in semi-arid regions, so it is mostly seen in decaying vegetable matter, timbers in mines. So wet regions usually will be seen, and it is not a human commensal. It is basically a saprophytic fungi, or that lives in soil. So it is basically a opportunistic infection caused by your accidental or occupational inoculation. Now sporotrichosis is caused, causative organism is Sporothrix shinki. So Sporothrix shinki is basically a mold at lower temperature and yeast at high temperature. So because it will be having a spore form at lower temperature and hyphal form in the higher temperature, body temperature. And Sporothrix, this one, sporotrichosis, can be caused in various types. So types of sporotrichosis are, most importantly, subcutaneous and cutaneous sporotrichosis, along with inflammation of the lymphatic tissue. Second is, usually it will be caused by here we can see Sporothrix shinki. Now here you can see mold form, okay, with rosettes and sleeves of conidia, multiple rosettes you can see, sleeves of conidia, and here it is a yeast form. Okay, here we can see, and this is the sporothrix chincai lesion, single lesions, acute inoculation after thorn bite over the hand. Now, infective stage of the fungus is spore, and it causes primarily over the hand of the forearm by direct inoculation, and at the site of the injury, wherever the thorn bite is there, there will be redness and painful lesions, and presence of draining sinuses will be seen. And frequently the regional lymph nodes draining the ulcer become enlarged, suppurate and ulcerate. The primary lesions will become localized in the immunocompromised organisms and may disseminated to involve which parts, that is wherever lymphatics are going, that is we see, that is breast, joint, bones, lungs, anywhere in the body. But CNS involvement is less because of the large size of the fungus. So it is not able to cross BBB, blood-brain barrier, easily. The pathogenesis, what happens, the melanin which is products, it produces melanin. So this melanin helps in protecting fungus against macrophage attack and phagocytosis. Then two extracellular proteases fungal is producing, that is protease 1 serine proteinase and proteinase 2 aspartic proteinase. So these are produced by chymostatin and pepsostatin. Okay. Now some bodies are there, that is asteroid bodies. Asteroid bodies are nothing but central yeast surrounded by eosinophilic spicules, and it has foreign body type reaction, tuberculoid type reaction and sporotrichoid type of reaction. Now foreign body type of reaction we all know. So this type of various types of tuberculoid pattern, sporotrichoid pattern, all these patterns are basically nothing but how the this one, your histopathology is looking. So in case of sporotrichoid pattern, there will be presence of concentric zones with necrotic material in center. As in tuberculoid zone, granuloma, tuberculosis like granuloma with epithelioid cell will be there, and foreign body is foreign body giant cell granuloma will be seen. So here we can see thorn bite with ulcer and lymphatic spread. Now laboratory diagnosis, all fungal infections KOH mount can be done, and KOH mount, the characteristic picture is asteroid bodies, that is round oval basophilic yeast like body 3.5 mm in distance radiating from the yeast cell. So yeast cell, it is containing asteroid bodies. Now culture of the fungus, it is not easy to culture the fungus, and usually done at 25 degrees Celsius. Okay. Now there will be on culture there will be presence of multiple slender hyphae bearing small oval to pyriform, okay, conidia, which is produced along the side of the hyphae, and delicate conidiospores aligning the right angles of the hyphae. Here we can see, giving a rosette, palmate or flower-like appearance. Here we can see multiple small slender hyphae and small conidia and spores will be present. Okay. Now microscopic morphology of pathology of saprophytic fungi. What will be? It is usually grown in the SDA media, Seborrheic dextrose agar media, and again same pattern we can see, cluster, flower-like clusters, and multiple small thin filamentous lesions, okay, from the hyphae, and small cluster of conidia are usually seen. Okay. Now this is the yeast form. Okay. Now usually you can see there is budding yeast cells, there is no hyphae, much hyphae. Okay. So in budding yeast cells already is had produced yeast. Okay. So here we can see yeast, no, here we can see the hyphae form is there, here hyphae is not there. Now serological examinations like ELISA can be done, usually they are costly, and latex agglutination test using peptidodil, D-mannan and as antigen, because D-mannan is a antigen for fungal cell wall. So these tests are specialized tests which we can do, but usually diagnosis is mainly based on the biopsy and examination of the granules. Now for the treatment part, sporotrichosis. So usually sporotrichosis is caused by Porothrixinki, that is a fungal infection. So potassium iodide can be used, itraconazole, amphotericin B and terminafine. These drugs can be used for treatment of the condition. The clinical variants of sporotrichosis, there are three different clinical variants of sporotrichosis. First is lymphocutaneous sporotrichosis, most common form which we have seen. Second is the mucocutaneous. Third is fixed cutaneous, and other is disseminated sporotrichosis, that is one whole body after from the primary focus. And one more entity usually commonly seen in old age patients, cancer patients, HIV patients, that is pulmonary sporotrichosis because of the inhalation of the conidia. So sporotrichosis as such is not caused by conidia inhalation, but pulmonary sporotrichosis is usually caused by direct inhalation of the conidial spores. Clinical features, main clinical features I think you have discussed already. Okay. So the variety of sporotrichosis are ketogenic and symptomatic. Cutaneous sporotrichosis, there are more types, that is lymphangitic and fifth forms, that is one is involving the lymph nodes, one is not involving the lymph nodes, that is fifth term. Now occasionally atypical varieties such as mycetoma like cellulitis may occur. So lymphocutaneous sporotrichosis, we have seen how does it occurs. Okay. Here we can see. So there are multiple small raised red colored lesions present over the dorsum of the hand, and lesions are usually spreading the through the lymphatics. Okay. So they usually after few days or few years they become large granulomatous vegetative or papillomatous. Now we discuss upon few characteristic features. Okay. Now some things are there. Untreated diseases usually follow a chronic course, which is characterized by involvement of lymphatics from draining area. So a chain of lymphatic nodules develops known as porotrichoid, and nodules appear at an interval of a few days. So how does happen? I'll first discuss. Here suppose one lesion is there, so these slowly multiple nodules will occur over the lymphatic. So that is usually is a sporotrichoid form, and these ulcers will usually become soft and tender and connected by lymphatic cords. There will be presence of lymphatic cords. Okay, and many a time purulent discharge may come out from the lesion due to secondary bacterial infection or even primary infection. And as the disease become chronic, regional lymphatics, like usually in hands, which lymphatics it will drain, that is jugular, external jugular and axillary group of lymph nodes. These lesions will usually involve this kind of lesions. Okay, so the primary lesions may heal spontaneously, leaving the lymphatic nodes enlarged. And mucocutaneous sporotrichosis, the second form of sporotrichosis, the lesions are in presence in the mouth. They may be present in the pharynx, vocal cord and nose. So why it is happening? Due to basically inhalation or ingestion of the spores. Okay, and usually at first there will be presence of erythematous ulcerative suppuration, and eventually they will become granulomatous, vegetative or papillomatous, and usually they are accompanied by severe pain. Here we can see over the leg. See how first is lymphatic spread. Okay, then there is presence of raised individual lesions. Now we have talked about localized variant of sporotrichosis. Many a times sporotrichosis are localized to a specific point of inoculation, doesn't have a hematogenous or spread or lymphatic spread, and the lesions usually show as a acneiform or nodular, or for showing the lesions, or what we say, only the lesions will be seen. Okay, here we can see one small single lesions, but how chronic it is looking. It is having a strong granuloma, dry looking ulcer, pigmentation will be seen. Okay, it just by looking you can say it is an old lesion, it's not a new lesion. Now there will many times there will be presence of plaques also, so they may suggest a disease. What infections? That is leishmaniasis or tuberculosis. Okay, and there is wide variation of the morphology of the lesions depending upon the type of the surgency, this type of the infection which is present over the lesion, that is sporotrichosis. Now in few patients sporotrichosis is involving the lungs also, that is known as pulmonary sporotrichosis. Now how pulmonary sporotrichosis is happening? It is probably because of the inhalation of the microconidia and presents either with local pulmonary disease or focal widely disseminated disease. Okay, and what will happen? Usually single cavitary lesion of the upper lobe is a distinctive feature. Okay, so local area of the lesions, that is of distinctive features, and gradually chronic pneumonitis. Because why chronic pneumonitis? Because antigens have more lymphocytic infiltration, slow growing fungus, so chronic pneumonitis will be seen usually in these cases, and it will heal with scarring, that is fibrosis and pleural leprosis. And sporotrichoma, what is that? Solitary residual fibrocaseous nodules. So whenever the sporotrichosis lesions are healed because of the extensive fibrosis, there is small raised lesions present over the lesion. So whenever if you have nutric drugs, it will not heal. Okay. Now the radiology examinations, it will see widespread miliary infiltration, mediastinal widening will be there, along with some evidence of systemic sporotrichosis. Okay, such as example of this systemic sporotrichosis is in your diabetic patients, chronic alcoholics, or their host response is less, they are on immunosuppressive drugs. So whenever sporotrichosis has been reported in AIDS patients, lesion has usually become widespread and affected in internal organs as well as skin. Contrast of the cutaneous variety which occurs perfectly in the individuals and in AIDS patients and in systemic types. So all these kind of patients, they have severe infiltration and all these things will be there, and if left untreated, the disease is fatal. Okay, but one thing we have to remember, that systemic sporotrichosis is very rare and mostly seen in HIV positive patients. Now lab diagnosis is somewhat difficult in these cases. History of thorn bite inoculation is usually seen, and fluorescent antibody techniques. Fluorescent antibodies, because FTAPS will be able to detect even small amount of antibodies. So fluorescent antibodies can be used to locate the pathogenic bacteria. And the fungus is usually grown in horse blood agar or common agar. Okay, so this horse blood agar or common agar can be used for growth of the fungus. See how cigar bundle appearance. See, cigar bundle elongated forms are present around the yeast forms and some eosinophilic hyaline materials. Okay, so multiple eosinophilic hyaline materials, here eosinophilic hyaline materials are there. So this is giving a sporothrix asteroid potence. Okay, and you will see in the center of the suppurative granule. So physiological test which we can do too is application of heat. Now what happens, these fungi are dimorphic. Usually they are fungus form in spore form in the lower temperature. Okay, and in cases of higher temperature they becomes your fungal form or hyphalial form. And blood brain heart infusion agar, in sea blood agar there will be presence of multiple cigar bundle yeast cells. Here we can see the asteroid bodies, we can see the yeast cells. Now, what about treatment option? Potassium iodide has been used. So, how we used potassium iodide? Slowly titrating the doses of potassium iodide. Okay, and there are side effects are there. They are very common. Usually, in case of potassium iodide, there will be chances of hyperkalemia and iodism. These two things are there whenever you are giving potassium iodide. So always do a hyperthyroidism, and you also check for sensitivity, because many people will be having sensitivity to potassium iodide. So these are the some side effects of potassium iodide treatment. Apart from it, potassium iodide, you can give itraconazole or terbinafine. Itraconazole or terbinafine, and intravenous amphotericin B can be useful in systemic disease. Okay, so we will start with the differential diagnosis. So in cases of chlorotrichosis, differential diagnosis are mycobacterial infection. See, most chronic granulomatous disease, first differential diagnosis should be mycobacteria only, and apart from it, leishmaniasis, and leishmaniasis is less common in Indian patients. It is more common, in our region, which is most commonly seen in Bihar and your coastal regions. So PKDL, post-Kala-Azar dermal leishmaniasis is one of the differential diagnosis. And Mycobacterium marinum infection, that is non-tuberculosis mycobacteria, also known as fish trianguloma, can be also a differential diagnosis. And cutaneous nocardia, as we have seen, nocardia cause, that is your pulmonary, that is pulmonary mycetoma, or it was involving the chest. So nocardia species can also involve the lungs, giving a differential diagnosis to pulmonary sporotrichosis. Okay, so we have discussed about two different types. One is this mycetoma, and one is your sporotrichosis. So sporotrichosis is basically caused by Sporothrix shinki, and it is basically have a lymphatic spread, whereas mycetoma is a localized disorder caused by fungi and pseudofungi, that is filamentous fungi like bacteria, that is actinomycetes. Now we go to one of the common diseases which we seen usually in our region, that is rhinosporidiosis. So rhinosporidiosis is basically a chronic granulomatous disease characterized by development of friable polyps, usually confined to nose, mouth and eye, but maybe can be seen over the genitalia or the mucous membrane. So one thing we have to remember, rhinosporidiosis is usually involving the skin and usually involving the mucous membranes, usually in the eyes, in the nose, in the mouth. I think this has been also covered in your ENT classes. Now distribution is seen in most cases, usually seen in tropical countries like India, Brazil, Argentina, Sri Lanka, all these tropical countries. Okay, and causative agents of rhinosporidiosis is Rhinosporidium sebae. The most important point about Rhinosporidium sebae is it have to be cultured in either in cell containing media, that is HeLa cell media or sheep agar or this kind of media. So culture is very difficult in cases of rhinosporidiosis. Now pathogenesis and clinical features. The mode of infection, fungus, is not known. However, it is suggested that it transmitted in dust and water, but in dust there is no dust usually, most commonly in India. I have seen rhinosporidiosis mostly who are taking bath in ponds, lakes or dirty water. Okay, and it is supposed to be humans are supposed to be intermediate, occasional or accidental host. So basically natural host is usually supposed to be fungus, fish, Now infections usually mostly seen in stagnant pools. So here nearby villages who are taking bath in the stagnant pools will be who are driving in the streams or taking bath in rivers. So this kind of people, they will have your rhinosporidosis. Now disease is characterized by presence of multiple large friable polyps. What do you mean by friable? So if you touch, it will break down and it will bleed, and usually seen in the eye, in the oral cavity, usually seen in the nasal mucosa, but sometimes it can involve the skin and the genitalia also. So here you can see beautiful a clear cut case of, here we can see clear cut case of sporotrichosis. From nose, red colored velvety lesions will be seen. Now rhinosporidosis. Now laboratory diagnosis. How we will do laboratory diagnosis? So we can simply do a histopathologic examination and periodic acid shift, it is for bacteria, fungus, pass staining, and GMS, Grommeries methamine silver stain can be used. So sporangia usually measures around 200 mm in diameter, and there will be multiple of endospores. See, multiple of endospores. Here we can see endospores and sporangia. Sporangia is nothing but a small walled lesions containing the Rhinosporidium severi. Okay. Now treatment is usually surgical. Okay. In contrast to other conditions, because of the thick surrounding lesions, and these lesions are usually will not respond to itraconazole group. So usually we will be doing a histopathological examination, and chemotherapy we have to start. Now chemotherapy usually in dapsone as a drug we can use, but nowadays other drugs are also there which have keratolytic properties, cosmetic drugs. So if you give some keratolytic in rhinosporidosis, automatically it will auto amputate. Okay. Now where it is, okay, so we have discussed about two diseases, that is porotrichosis and rhinosporidosis. Sorry, three diseases. What is mycetomas, porotrichosis, and rhinosporidosis. So mostly you will get PG, pre-PG questions from these topics only. So pheohypomycosis, botryomycosis, all these are usually less asked. So in PG examinations, usually they will ask about which are the positive agents causing mycetoma, or identify a slide of mycetoma. Okay, or they will ask to read a ask about any drugs used in cases of management of rhinosporidosis, or lab diagnosis of rhinosporidosis, or lab diagnosis of various your day-to-day routine conditions. So usually what happens in cases of chronic mycetoma, we always keep it as a fourth or fifth possibility prior to our primary disease, because what happens usually nowadays, you will see many of the fungal infections, deep fungal infections are coming up with respect to bacterial infections. So due to more increased number of cases of diabetes mellitus and all these things, fungal infections are more, and deep mycosis chances are becoming more. But after due to some immunosuppressive reasons, like taking anti-HIV, patients who are HIV or on anti-cancer therapy, deep fungal infections are very commonly seen. And specifically in ICU setup, wherever people are staying more than 7 days, fungal infections are regularly seen. Specifically your this rhinosporidosis, aspergillosis, okay, mucormycosis. So we will discuss about aspergillosis and mucormycosis in next coming 2 classes, because this is a vast topic. So these topics are a bit complicated, and so many things are there to remember. I will send you the notes of this topic after completion of tomorrow's class, so that you can go and see. And many MCQs are coming for specific lesions like asteroid like lesions. So asteroid bodies are seen in so which condition, okay, then reticular bodies are seen in which conditions. So all these kind of things they will be asking in your pre-page examination. So at least mycetoma and these all deep fungal infections, at least see the basic high yield MCQs which have been asked to you, okay, because C reactive protein your in pre-page examinations, one liners or many a times they will give one photo and they will ask your diagnosis or one some related questions. So do go through the slides. I will send you after tomorrow's class. We will mostly keep a class tomorrow at 12. Okay, we will try to keep at 12. I'll see the engagement and we will discuss about lobomycosis, pheohyphomycosis, then chromoblastomycosis, mucormycosis and aspergillosis. Okay, so I think you all have your textbook of dermatology. Go read in short about all these topics, small things, whatever I have discussed. How does mycetoma looks like? Okay, how sporotrix is separate from these lesions. So all these things you have to read and come, so that we can have a you can have a better understanding of whatever I am teaching you. Otherwise everything will go above your head. So on this note I will finish this class. Okay, if you have any doubts kindly ask. Okay.
All participants are unmuted. All participants are muted.